Hello, everyone. I'm Levi with the Refounding Fathers. I'm joined here with my co-host Ryan, and also special guest Boogaloo Mike, aka Mike.
What's up, guys?
Find him on Instagram, all that fun stuff.
I'd just like to start out with an apology. I'm getting over like a throat cold thing, so you'll hear me clear my throat a couple times through this.
I'm starting to get sick.
I think
so
the all three of us are actually feeling a little under the weather at this point.
That's what the liquor's for.
yes, I'm making out so often.
The sinuses, throat, kind of. Okay. Get out of this building.
You guys have mono now too. I licked all of your cups.
Damn it!
Oh.
Why did I lick your cup?
We haven't even drank that much tonight.
Why are we licking cups so often? All right, so I think we're gonna kick this off with the old millennial / Gen Z rant about how baby boomers and just generations past us treat us, even though a lot of the problems that we're facing is kind of their fault. Take inflation, for instance. Back in the 70s, 80s, you could basically get a house for $70,000, and now that same house is worth $220,000, which back then you could actually work a low wage and afford it over a certain period of years. It was fairly low as compared to how much we would have to work to pay a house off. Now we're having 15, 20, 30-year mortgages just to afford, the basic living expenses.
Y'all can't see it, but I'm nodding my head in agreement with most of the things that are being said tonight.
And that doesn't just go for inflation or housing or education. That goes for a lot of policies that came about because at the end of the day, it's all because government got involved in private businesses. There was no longer, they took away as much of the consumer-consumee dichotomy. So the more government you add into something, the more things cost because the more control over a market there is. And it's my opinion that the baby boomer generation and the remnants, not the remnants, but the consequences of that ideology of patriotism and government before else has led to pretty much all of the financial and social problems that we have today. Not all of them, but they're
Good majority.
Good majority.
So the way we have it written down right now is generational issues, and something that I think is super important is if you are going to, because the majority of people who take to Facebook to complain about young people, old people, this age, this type, whatever, tend to be the people who raised those people, right?
Yeah.
The real issue that we're coming upon at this point is you cannot blame my generation for the political problems we face in America yet. Because we have only been able to vote for
3-4 years?
For
the majority,
cycle.
4 to 5 years. We
Which-
have only been voting age for 5 years.
Which is one
maximum.
election cycle. That's just one presidential vote.
Yeah. And, some of them missed it.
And I just want to
Like-
get out ahead of this conversation real fast and say something because I know it'll come up, maybe not in the comments, but people are going to talk about it. It's something that happens whenever you try to voice an opinion these days. And I'll preface it by saying we don't know everything. We're not the smartest people on the earth.
No.
But we do have some knowledge and some opinions, and the thing I see happens a lot whenever you try and bring up this conversation with someone that's 30, 40 years older than you, they say, well, you're just not old enough to understand, or you don't have the experience to understand. You don't need to have 40, 50, 60 fucking years of experience to understand when something fucking doesn't work.
You don't have a family yet. You don't understand how the real world is. I am a grown adult and I deal with the same thing that you do. I have all my rights and I pay taxes. I don't see where there is experience with age. It's not as drastic as they want you to think. That's a cop-out argument, and it's a strawman argument.
Experience with age is like, okay, I've been a carpenter for a year, and you've been a carpenter for 30 years. Yeah, the carpenter with 30 years experience probably knows a little bit more. But it doesn't take 30 years of experience to figure out that a socialist economy can't fucking stand.
Yeah,
Well,
and it's like,
if you have the experience and that is the only thing that sets you apart from the person you're saying has a differing opinion and is wrong, if you can't explain to them why they are wrong, then it doesn't
Your
matter.
experience means nothing.
Yeah, if it's this deep, I mean, if that's the case, why don't we raise the voting age to like 50?
Yeah.
Because obviously, if you can't make everyone of my age understand the true value of whatever the fuck you're talking about, then what is the fucking point? So if you just say, if you cop out with the you're just not old enough yet, and don't try and teach them the fucking lesson, then that you're just as bad.
If your best argument is you're not old enough to understand, then explain to me why the economy is doing so terrible, why the world is going to fucking shit right now. Because whether you're 60 or 16, everyone can pretty much agree the world is in a fucking mess right now. And that's the way I see it, is the people that claim to have all this experience, they're the ones that grew up and got the world to this point. They're the ones that voted for the politicians that got us in this place in the first place. So
yeah.
What's your experience actually done? You claim to have this experience, but you've done nothing to use that experience to better the world.
And experience is very locational. Okay? So if I go to a family man for advice about raising a family, let's say he turned 18, he got married, and he had 3 kids right off the bat. His entire life has been raising that family. Same thing goes for a job. His entire life has been doing carpentry or working in an office. So when I come to him and I bitch about the economy or I bitch about politics, and they say, well, you're in the wrong about this position because you don't understand what it's like to have a family or to have a job in this certain sector of the market, it doesn't correlate with my experience of being heavily involved with politics for 4 years. Because your entire life has been revolved around working that job, providing for your family. Mine has not. So I do have more experience than you. I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, experience is exactly what you're trying to explain there. It is completely based on your experience. So you could change a couple of small factors in 2 people's identical lives, and they would have completely different experience and completely different opinions based on the experiences that they've had. And, I mean, that one might be more right than the other, but I'm not going to go to someone who's never touched a fucking tool in their life and ask them how to build a fucking house.
Just because they're older.
Just because they're older.
One thing I love, and you'll notice this about me and some of the other guys' lives. I'm a fucking soldier, so I'm going to use some military references every once in a while.
Yeah.
But I love how, in the older folks' eyes, I'm old enough to go to war and fight and die, and I have been to war, and maybe not on the level of World War II, but I have been shot at, I've been almost killed a few times, and I have killed other people, and I've been fighting. And somehow I'm smart enough and able to make those decisions over there, and I'm able to fight for these politicians and do what they tell me to do, but I'm not old enough to understand how it works and how to make decisions on who gets elected.
Yeah. It's just a cop-out argument.
Yeah.
That's literally all this is. It is someone fucked up heavily, and they want us, because we're different and we're trying to figure something out that'll work, they want us to feel bad because of it.
Well, it's human fucking nature, right? So no one wants to admit they're wrong. It goes against everything we know to say, I was wrong. And you'll hear the expression, it takes a man to admit they're wrong. It takes someone who's true to themselves to admit, yeah, I was wrong in this scenario. And I think one of the problems we're facing is all these boomers, as they're called in memes and online now, these people in their 60s, 50s, they don't want to admit they're wrong. And because admitting they're wrong about some things means they're wrong about a whole lot of other things that they don't feel comfortable with that. And so instead of taking the honest way out, saying, you know what, I was wrong about this, it's easier for them to say, you're wrong about this.
So I have a really good example that happened to me recently pertaining to this subject. I was looking through my taxes, and as we all do, and my 1099 for this year, or W-2, said that more Social Security money had been taken out than any other tax bracket, which is pretty standard for everyone. And I looked at a family member of mine and they're like, okay, wow. Well, you're welcome, Grandma. You just took $200 out of this amount of money I made in this job. You're welcome. I'm supporting you because that's how Social Security works. And the individual I made that comment to got super pissed off because, oh, well, that's just the way it is. You don't want to support them, blah, blah, blah. You should want to help them. You should be happy that you're helping them. And if you don't want to be in Social Security, you should opt out of it. Opting out of Social Security doesn't mean you don't have to pay into it. You have to pay into it. If you opt out of it, you're just not getting any of that money back. I'm saying if I want to opt out of it, I should never have to pay a dime
And I
to
love
Social Security again.
I love how they're saying, oh, you're a bad person because you don't want to support the old people. You're not saying you don't want to support the old people. You're saying you don't want to be forced to support the old
If
people.
I wanted to give my family members money, I would give it to them. I don't want to use the government's gun to point it at my own head to allow them to divvy up that money to old people who can figure out how to fucking do a retirement.
And that's not
savant.
even that doesn't even say the fact that you pay what, like $200 out of every check towards Social Security, and then like 10% of that actually goes back to the people that paid into it.
Yeah.
Like what happens to the rest of that fucking money? It goes to fucking banquets and shit for the government, for politicians to like jerk themselves off with and feel special.
So, did I talk last podcast about the highway issues?
I think it's come up a couple times.
Yeah, it's come up a couple
Okay,
times.
so I'm not sure if I mentioned this. This is a recent development, and I thought I was wrong briefly. And I was like, oh shit, you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. I'm gonna have to go do some more research, and that's what I told a family member of mine. Because I was bitching, moaning, and complaining about how our tax dollars are paying for this fucking extra express lane that you have to pay money to use, which is very elitist in my opinion. But they told me that it was privately funded, so I actually didn't pay for it. And I was like, okay, that's very interesting. I'm gonna have to do some research into that to like confirm some things, and you know what? I might have to look you in the eyes and say, fuck, you're right. They did it the best way they could have.
Private.
But I did research into it, and it turns out, first off, this is the year 2020. In 2006, this project was being proposed.
14 years ago?
Yes.
The math checks out, folks.
I think in 2011, they finalized everything, and it was going to be a privately funded thing. And then the money that you pay to use it was going to be used to repair it and maintain it. Totally acceptable, right? Hey, you want to get down this fucking traffic bogged down bullshit that goes on in Atlanta and pay money to use this road so you can get where you're going faster? Okay, sure. As long as, this isn't going into the pockets of fucking politicians. Turns out that's not the case. Last fucking second, they threw the whole fucking plan away, used our tax dollars anyway, but they had already had the public sold for so many years on this project that it was going to be privately funded and maintain and repair itself on the profits it made, that no one fucking knows that it came out of our pockets and is currently, it's exactly what I was saying. It was a tax used, and then you have to pay more to use the road anyway.
Yeah.
And I was told by two people, no, this is a privately funded thing. This is actually an example of the system working. No, this is an example of the system fucking us, because they sold everyone. It took so long to get it approved. By the time the talk was done, everyone had in their minds, oh, it's a privately funded thing, we're all behind that, that's cool. If I don't use it, I don't pay it. So it doesn't fucking affect me.
Yeah.
And then last fucking second, they change it all up, so I end up fucking paying for it and don't get to use it.
They had that planned all along.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's what I'm saying. That's the fucking problem in the system. It was probably planned all along to be that way, and they just fucking tricked... How many people live in Atlanta? Of 3 million people? into agreeing with the way it works.
Well, here's one that's going to get some people upset. How many people still believe that 9/11 was actually a real terrorist attack? Which I'm going to come out and say, do I believe that a group of Islamic extremists hijacked some planes and flew them to the World Trade Center and the Pentagon? Somewhat. Do I believe that we funded that group and got them where they needed to be to do such an act? Yes. Do I think that the Pentagon had some explosive help besides the plane? Fuck yes.
More than the Pentagon had some help besides the
I
Pentagon.
don't know. I don't know if I want to touch 9/11.
Trade
So-
Center number 7.
So my biggest issue with that stuff is there's so much proof behind there being skepticism or there's so much reason to believe the way we believe on this, where this is sketchy and someone needs to do research into it and it all gets shut down. But something that I think is interesting, which ties into what we were originally talking about, generational issues, is the 9/11 Flight 93 conspiracy. So, I don't remember exactly all the details. Someone who remembers it better might want to take the boat on, or take the handle on this.
So basically, Flight 93 was the last plane to touch ground on 9/11. It was,
As far as the terrorist attacks are concerned.
Basically, this plane was hijacked, and the big story is the civilians were able to take control of the plane and put it down on the ground, saving countless lives, which very heroic, very patriotic.
When you hear that, it's like, man, those civilians, they stopped a terrorist attack and sacrificed themselves. I'm going to go join the army and help fight.
Yeah,
I'm proud to be a fucking American.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, which is like, if that story was true, hell yeah. There's plenty of patriotic acts that have happened in this country, but not that one, because that shit did not happen that way. What happened was George W. Bush, as he says in his memoirs, said that he gave the Air Force the okay to shoot it down.
Not the okay, he gave them the order.
He gave them the order to shoot that plane down so it wouldn't hit the White House. And there's plenty of evidence to back it up.
Which in that scenario,
Debris.
I would have probably done the same
I would have
thing.
done the same thing, and I have no problem with that. And there's tons of evidence to back that claim up, because the F-16s were spotted beside it. The radar operators from the control towers in the area were given basically like a code of silence. You were never allowed to speak of this again. And the debris records and the 10 miles worth of mail just spewing everywhere, and the half-mile of wreckage basically proves that this thing had to have split apart in midair, because one solid object that touches ground doesn't keep going for half a mile.
Yeah. And again, we're not saying that this was the wrong call. What we're talking about is the massive cover-up that they went through to cover it up. If you fucking shot it down because it was about to destroy a national landmark with dozens or hundreds of people inside, then yeah, okay, you probably made the right call. When you cover it up and make it a lie to not only to make it you yourself look a little bit better so you can get reelected, but to also get more people to join the military and fuel the military industrial complex so you can make more money just by going to a foreign war, that's when it becomes a fucking issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, some of the small pieces of information on this flight that are hard to deny in any way, shape, or form, they found one of the engines, what was it, a half mile away from the touchdown?
Yeah.
Okay.
A half mile away.
They found the engines a half mile away from the crash site of the plane. Now, maybe scientifically you could figure out speed, this, and that. Those things might have skipped around and did some weird shit.
Mm-hmm.
They were buried 4 feet in the ground and had no track marks behind them. They fell straight out of the sky and buried themselves to the point where the ground was almost at the same level as the highest point in the engine. A vehicle moving forward hits the ground, and a quarter or a half mile away, the engine buries itself 4 feet in the ground? Sorry, no. That's not how that works.
I don't-
The only way it makes sense is if the airplane had broke up mid-air and those fuckers fell out of the sky and buried themselves in the ground.
I don't know if y'all
Not
know
the people,
a lot
the
about
engines.
airplanes, but
Yeah, the engine.
So, like, I feel so bad for the Flight 93 people. Imagine how fucking terrifying that would have been. That would have sucked.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, my plane's being taken over. Oh, hell yeah, the military's here to save us.
Yeah.
Shit.
I don't know
And it
how
sucks
much y'all
'cause-
know about airplanes, but they don't tend to when they're crashing towards the ground because of pilot error. They don't tend to dismember themselves and have pieces fling off. Like that doesn't typically happen. Now, what does happen when a missile hits an airplane is the fuel fuselage is destroyed.
Yeah.
And the wings break apart, and then you'd see engines fly different directions. Then you'd see mail scatter 10 miles away.
Yeah, because you're getting air forces in directions that have never been, are not designed for this airplane, right?
Mhm.
Right.
So that's when stuff starts to break. These things are made as physically light as humanly possible. Like, we cannot make them better than we have them. That's the purpose of these. That's why they're all aluminum, which means they have the lowest possible momentum. The engines, yes, might have the highest momentum of all the different parts of this plane. That would make sense that they're not in the exact spot it crashed.
But to be
But-
over a half mile with no skid marks,
No skid marks and buried 4 feet in the ground.
they hit the ground at terminal velocity.
Yeah. They were falling almost straight down and buried themselves. And then the mail on this plane, which is very common for commercial flights to also carry mail back and forth as well. You know, you're trying to make the most out of your money kind of thing. Was scattered over 10 miles?
10 miles.
Yep.
Away from the crash.
How does a plane hit the ground? And, I mean, think of an envelope, okay? If you put an envelope on the floor, which it probably also would have burned.
See, now we're just copying the podcast.
Yeah, I
we
was
listened
going to
to
say, we
earlier.
can't just copy Woody from the podcast, but
PKA.
without
Oh,
giving
okay,
him
yeah,
a shout
yes.
out.
Basically, there's no possible way for that mail to have traveled that far in the time that was allotted.
I
with the winds of that day.
apologize, PKA. I was trying to make a point for all the people that, all 12 of them that listen to us.
I miss you so much, Kyle. I really wish the ATF would fuck off.
Bring back the AA-12s.
But the actual point we were trying to get to with all this, Flight 93 conspiracy stuff is the fact that there is so much information that leads to believe this aircraft broke up in the air, but no one will come out and no one in quote unquote important will say that's what happened. We shot it down. They lied to us. There's so much proof that that is not the story. The story we're being sold is not the correct one. And no one of major importance will fucking call anyone out on it. Which means, like we said, they might have they probably made the right call.
Yeah. We're not
You
upset about...
saved more lives than you killed, right?
Yeah, but the thing that's making us mad is the fucking deception and lies. I'm about to go on a little bit of a tirade here. So, we're talking about 9/11, right? Do I think that planes hit the World Trade Center 1 and 2? Yes. It doesn't explain World Trade Center 7 falling, and no one talks about that ever, but that's a different topic. Do I think that a plane hit the Pentagon? Yeah. Do I think that Flight 93 fell out of the sky? Yes. I think that they all had some sort of an explosive help. And again, I'm not saying that this was all the work of the U.S. government, because I do believe that Islamic terrorists were involved in this. But what I'm trying to say here is this is all a lie propagated by the U.S. government to fund the war machine. And I'm not trying to sound like one of those anti-war hippies, because fuck y'all. You think you smell bad. But,
war is necessary.
war is necessary, but not all war is necessary. And I don't think this war is necessary. And, look what happened in Iraq and Afghanistan. We go over there full of fucking patriots who are pissed off about their country being attacked. And, I can't fault them for that. They thought that their country got attacked, and they went to war for it.
I'm still pissed off about 9/11.
And so, I'm going off on a crazy rant,
Keep
but
going.
what I'm trying to say is, you've got all this proof that 9/11 was, I hate to say it, but 9/11 was an inside job. That phrase has become kind of a meme recently, but in the past decade.
I think if it was an inside job, then they created so many variables to where there's so much information and misinformation that we may never know what actually
It was
happened.
all the plan of the redacted. But
I don't think we'll ever know the truth about that shit.
But what I'm trying to get to here is, when we were talking earlier about people, it's against human nature to admit you're wrong.
Right.
You got all these so-called boomers that whenever you bring up the 9/11 was an inside job conspiracy to anyone over the age of like 40, they get pissed. They get super defensive. And they can't back up any of their claims, and they certainly can't refute any of yours. And I don't know, I don't think we'll ever know who's right or who is wrong, but I think that they don't want to be wrong, because if they're wrong about 9/11, then they were wrong about the war in the Middle East, the war on terror. And that would mean that the government did lie about WMDs in Iraq and Iran, that the government did lie about the Taliban's connection with the whole thing, that the government has been lying all along just so they can keep this military-industrial complex going, which I have another rant about that, about how senators are just keeping the war going so they can open factories and make more jobs so they can get reelected, and it's just a vicious, endless cycle.
Yeah, I think we've covered that.
Yeah, but the whole point is, this lie is we're keeping this lie going because people don't feel right about saying I was wrong.
Yeah, it's basically
And I understand I understand the mentality behind it, because if they are wrong, they sent their sons and daughters to die.
Their brothers and sisters, their wives and husbands, their best friends.
Yeah.
They sent people to places, halfway across the world to die and never return as, a living, breathing human to their home.
Because they believed a lie and they feel ashamed.
I would try. I understand where they're coming from to an extent, because I would at least need the hope of thinking I was right.
Yeah.
I think it's different than that. I think that their pride is worth more to them than other humans' lives.
That's part of what we're saying. And that ties into it. One, there would be the guilt factor, but two would be the pride factor. And I think the guilt factor ties into the pride factor. They would be guilty that they were prideful and lied for so long and believed the lie for so long that they just, on a fucking neurological level, they cannot comprehend them being wrong. And so they will viciously defend the narrative they were fed by the media and the government until the death. Like, there are some people you cannot fucking change their minds.
Yeah. And this is something that I want to make clear. We've briefly touched on it before, but we're not just talking about boomers. We're not just talking about this one specific generation. This seems to be a growing trend since the baby boomer generation. This is trained in us almost. They were this way, so we learned from them, or the generation, Generation X learned from them, and the millennials learned from them. I'm not trying to pit all this on some fucking old people who are gonna die soon so that my conscience feels clear and I never have to fucking answer to shit. I'm saying everyone fucking alive right now is part of this problem.
Here, I'll come out and say this. I was alive when the towers went down. I saw it on fucking Fox and CNN. And my parents told me the bad sand people in the desert did it. And more or less words. And I believed it.
At the moment?
Yeah. Well, not at the very second, but as time went on, they're like, it was Al-Qaeda and it was Taliban, all that shit. And I grew up. And I grew up in a fairly conservative, pro-military, pro-police family. And so I grew up thinking that was the right thing to believe, that these people over here did the wrong thing. And do I think the people in Afghanistan are upstanding human beings? No, I think they're garbage because they kill themselves and dogs over superstitions and bullshit. Do I think we need to go to war with them for that? No. But here we go. I believed that the terrorists committed 9/11 all on their lonesome. I was wrong. I believe that I was wrong for believing that. I joined the Army because I believe that was the most patriotic thing I could do. I was so proud of myself. In a sense, I still am proud of myself for joining the Army. I did something tough that most people didn't like to do because it was too hard. In that sense, I feel proud. But I was wrong about so many things. I joined the Army because I thought I was going to go over there and fight terrorists. I joined the Army in 2013. No.
12?
2000 and it was 2013.
Okay.
I've been in 6 and 3/4 of a year, and that was still a decent amount of time after 9/11 had happened. We were still in war over there, and it wasn't until 2019, end of 2018, beginning of 2019 that I got deployed to Afghanistan. I got deployed over there fighting these people that supposedly were the perpetrators of the terrorist attack. And no one could seem to give you a straight answer anymore, whether it was Taliban or Al-Qaeda that did 9/11 or who was at fault. It was just that, Taliban's bad, Al-Qaeda's bad. Sure, they do some bad things, but to sum it all up, I was wrong, and the world suffered for it.
Can I add a caveat to that?
Yeah.
Not a caveat, but something to think about. Every time public opinion turns against the war effort, so like America versus the Taliban in Afghanistan, why is there always this new entity that springs up? Because the resurgence in Afghanistan is because of ISIS. Well, the American public stopped wanting to fight the Taliban, and then all of a sudden ISIS comes out of nowhere and completely dominates the region. Well, ISIS was started by the CIA. That is undeniable.
The Taliban was fucking started by the CIA. You ever heard the word Mujahideen? It was the group of freedom fighters in Afghanistan that we gave shipments, like massive fucking shipments of AK-47s, RPKs, PKMs, RPGs, landmines, and all sorts of other fucking shit to. And now, 20 years, 30 years later, we're fighting them with the same weapons they gave us, or we gave them.
Which tells you that they want to keep us there, not for patriotism or for the security of our country, but they are creating entities for us to fight for their own much darker reasons.
Yeah. If there is no logical explanation as to why we are at war with someone, but everyone in the government seems to be totally fine with doing it, there's some problems there.
I've said it before. If the government says something is bad for you and you shouldn't do it or partake in it, I've come to realize that it's not bad for you if you do it or partake in it. It usually ends up not being beneficial to the government if you do it or partake in it.
Yeah. They're losing out on something, and that's why they're banning it or telling you can't do it.
When did we get to the point in America where the government stopped being this thing that served the people and the people started being the thing that served the government?
There's several points.
There's no clear point.
Yeah.
I'm going to start off with the income tax of 1895, which we talked about last podcast. FDR's New Deal.
Yeah. Just fuck everyone and everything.
Vietnam. Vietnam was a big one.
How about gun control?
Vietnam was a lesson to the government. It taught them that they can't do what they want without pulling strings and being subversive, and the people will fucking rise up eventually. We're not happy with your decisions, we're gonna start fighting you on it, and then you'll have no support. So they're like, well, fuck, we learned from Vietnam, we've gotta fucking lie and cheat and steal, so they think this war is the best thing that's ever happened to them.
Yeah.
They think that if they don't fight this war, or at least support it, then they're... this is like fucking communist Russia bullshit.
Yeah.
They're enemies of the state. You're not supporting us, you must be the fucking enemy.
And they've got that so ingrained in people that if you speak out about 9/11 being an inside job, or we shouldn't be at war in the Middle East right now, any of that shit, you're not only branded a subversive to the government, you're being branded as a traitor, a coward, and a fool.
Yeah, which are heavy fucking terms to attach to a human being based on, I don't know why you believe what you believe, but obviously you're a fucking coward because you believe it.
Listen, we're all soldiers here. Our fucking brothers died for this shit.
One of my best fucking friends was shot for this shit.
Yeah. And no one can give us a clear reason as to why we're there. Like, there's no overarching explanation. We're not fighting fascists. We're not fighting communists. We're not fighting a fucked up ideology involving slavery. We're just there because we're there.
I don't know how much of this I can actually share, so I'm just going to paraphrase and be vague.
Okay.
But I was at a briefing. It was a battalion level briefing with a higher ranking officer, and they were taking questions. This was before we shipped out, and an individual asked, "Why are we still at war in the Middle East?" to the higher ranking officer, and he immediately pretty much got shot down by his superiors, and then this higher ranking official went on to explain how he was an asshole and a idiot for, he didn't say it in that many words, but that's what he was implying, for asking that question, and how we're over there to stop the next terrorist attack.
I remember the conversation that you're talking about. The whole goal of this blah 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 is to stop the next 9/11. And whatever we have to do to stop it will be justified.
Yeah.
Fucking horrifying conversation.
Oh yeah, like to hear such a powerful person saying that, and not only say it, they believed it. They weren't saying it because they had some nefarious goals. That's what they had been taught, and that's what they believed had to be done.
Yeah,
These are not bad people at heart. They are people, good people, with the best intentions that have been fooled. I'm going to steal a line from this guy, funny, but from Jurassic Park, where the guy says he stole some velociraptor eggs, and they were getting hunted by the velociraptors for that. And when they found out that he did it, his the main scientist was like, "Why would you do that?" And he's like, "You got to believe me. I had the best intention." He's like, "Best intention." The scientist dude says, "Some of the worst atrocities in the world have been committed by people with only the best intentions."
Yeah. The road to hell is paved on good intentions.
Best intentions is never a fucking excuse.
So I probably said this one before, but one of my favorite quotes so far in my entire life is Andy Andrews from the book How Do You Kill 11 Million People.
It's not a walkthrough.
It's a question. How the fuck does someone manage to get away with doing this kind of thing? I'm not advocating killing 11 million people.
So it's
Please-
not like
please
the
don't.
Anarchist cookbook. I don't learn how to do it.
No,
Anarchy's a total.
It was a joke.
I know.
It was a joke.
Anarchy's good.
But the quote that I'm talking about. Fuck, did I just forget it?
How to kill
No.
11 million
It's
people.
direction, not intention, determines destination. It doesn't matter where the fuck you wanna go. If you're not walking the right fucking way, you ain't gonna end up where you wanna go. Where you are currently aimed is where you are going to fucking end up. So this whole, we want to help people, we want to save people, we want to, best intentions, blah, 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 all that bullshit. If you are not fucking heading in the direction of helping and saving people, but your rhetoric says that's what I want, it doesn't fucking matter, you won't end up there. You cannot walk straight and end up 30 feet to your right.
Which reminds me, there has been no recorded terrorist attack stopped by the Patriot Act.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Now we're going down this one.
Yeah. Which leads me to the question. Was the purpose of the Patriot Act to stop terrorism? Or was it to monitor people in mass?
Well, I know what my opinion on that one is, but
We know the truth.
that's a perfect example of direction, not intention.
Yeah.
I don't care what your intentions are. I mean, the TSA is another good example.
Holy shit.
What is it? I think they did, they try and
95% failure rate for...
Yeah, they try and test the TSA. So they bring fake bombs and fake drugs, or maybe it's real drugs, but you got your fucking government card that says I can have them and sneak them through here.
Yeah, no,
because
officer,
I'm testing you.
You're under arrest for possession.
Yeah. But, so they do all kinds of different ways to test the TSA to see how effective they are. They have a 95% failure rate. 95% of the things trying to get smuggled and snuck through get smuggled and snuck through. How? What's the direction on that? Because it don't look good to me. The intentions might be great, but they ain't fucking going anywhere good.
I can't believe I'm about to do this, but I'm about to plug a YouTube channel. College Humor.
Oh.
Despite their flaws, go look up the College Humor on, what was the name of the video? It was, I think it was the Theatrics of Safety. If you go on YouTube and look up College Humor TSA video, you'll find it. And they explain how the TSA doesn't provide real security, it provides the illusion of security.
Security theater.
People think that, oh boy, there's all these fat, overweight people with no guns guarding the plane, that I'm going to be safe. You go through your fucking metal detector, they do a big show of making you go through the body scanner, and they're like, oh, we got to get a wand over here, and they wand you, and you're like, oh man, they are thorough as shit. And you get on that plane, and like Brian was saying, 95% failure rate. Go on Instagram or Twitter, if you're into Twitter. I hate social media. I only use Instagram for memes, and I use Facebook or material for memes, mainly the AR-15 Builders page.
Also,
y'all suck.
Congrats to Magpul Mandalorian for
reaching 500 subscribers.
Hell yeah, y'all hit him up with a subscribe.
Still trying to get to 1,000. Y'all better hurry the fuck up.
But, we're the Refounding Fathers are 150. We're just barely getting by, scraping.
But anyways, I digress. It's fun. Go on Instagram or Twitter. I don't know about Facebook, but I know Twitter does it, and I've never been to their page, but I've been to the Instagram page several times. Go on Instagram, because I know y'all fucking have it, and go and follow the TSA's official page on Instagram, and you will see the shit that they confiscate. You can't see the air quotes, but I'm making air quotes right here. The shit they confiscate on a daily basis. It's like miniature, I'm talking the size of a quarter, brass knuckles on a keychain, a bullet that's been fired, not the whole casing, no explosive gunpowder, no primer, just the actual projectile with holes drilled through it on a keychain. They confiscate that shit. They confiscate little gun-shaped things. They confiscate pens that look like swords. They confiscate all this bullshit. And they add these little snarky comments. It's actually pretty funny. I'm actually going to look some up right now while I'm talking to y'all. But they're like, look at all this stuff we found. And I'm like, none of that. Absolutely none of that could be used to hijack a plane, but they're putting on this illusion that they're protecting you.
It's the same shit that rural law enforcement or big city law enforcement does to people. Like NYPD. A couple of weeks ago, they found this guy with a fucking Schofield revolver without a hammer on it.
Who the fuck is here trying to hijack a plane?
An unfireable weapon.
Who the hell out here trying to hijack a plane with a wooden slingshot?
Oh my God.
They confiscated...
I can't believe... Is that actually on their TSA page?
Yes, this is the official TSA page.
Holy shit.
It says... Here it goes. It says...
We're going to let him finish this one, but...
Don't get all Bart out of shape about forgetting your crusty old slingshot. The person was drunker than I am when they wrote this. I'm going to try and translate. Don't get all bent out of shape about forgetting your trusty old slingshot in your carry-on. It's not worth having a cow over, man. If you hate to part with it, consider putting it in your check bag. This slingshot was discovered by our officers from the, I'm not going to try to pronounce that, international airport. Slingshots or any other weapons or replicas are not allowed in your carry-on bag. Do yourself a favor and double and triple check your bags before arriving at the airport. This is the fucking type of slingshot that when you go to the county fair, there's some bearded ass old fat dude with a belt buckle the size of his car, and he's carved it out of a rotten piece of wood and putting a rubber band on it. Like, this is not... Like, I could probably shoot someone in the head point blank with this, and it would bounce off, and they'd be like, "Ow, man, what the hell was that for?" Like, this is not a hijacking weapon.
They'd just be mad at you.
But this is something they're like, "Look at what we found, this deadly projectile weapon."
Okay, so do you remember where you were at?
Yeah, and this goes for all law enforcement when it comes to basically putting their ego into menial things. Like I was saying, the NYPD recently arrested a man in the subway, I believe, for carrying a Schofield revolver, which, for those who don't know, this was a firearm in the late 1800s that was a single action pistol. So you have to cock the hammer every time you fire, except there's no hammer. There was no way to fire the gun. It was basically like this dude walked into an antique shop, bought a cool looking thing for a mantelpiece, and went to take it home on the subway. And he got arrested. And there was at least 12 cops in the picture around this unfireable gun saying, "We took this dangerous weapon off the street, blah, blah, blah." Same thing goes for whenever they do a big drug bust, when there's 4 cops around half an ounce of weed.
Yeah.
It is all security theater. They are trying to justify their jobs to the people using social media, except their justification isn't, "We got this potential terrorist. We got this child rapist." It's, "We got this guy who tried to get high in his own personal fucking yard."
Here's one more TSA thing for y'all. This is a toilet paper roll holder.
Oh my god.
It has a handle that's shaped like a gun handle, and it looks like a revolver, basically, which I actually think is quite clever. I would have one of these in my home. What would be the cylinder is actually where you put your toilet paper roll. I think that's pretty funny. Probably costs like $25-$30. Well, apparently, since this replica weapon looks like a weapon, the person had it confiscated, which means stolen, if you didn't realize, had it stolen from them, and then they also had $13,000 stolen from them in civil fines for carrying a fucking toilet paper dispenser on the trying to carry it on the plane. What the actual fuck?
Which, honest to God, looking at it, hardly resembles a gun.
Yeah,
like there is no way you would look at that and be like, "That is a functional firearm."
You can turn that into a gun on the plane.
Like,
Yeah,
I'd love to see the terrorist holding up the pilot with his toilet paper roll holder.
Yeah, and is there even a trigger on it?
No.
So he pulls the trigger that doesn't exist, and then realizes nothing happens and just starts rolling toilet
It doesn't
paper
even
everywhere.
have a barrel.
They're afraid he's gonna TP the plane.
It's just a solid piece of aluminum bar stock.
In the TSA's defense, I would be horrified of that weapon if the toilet paper was going the opposite way of the way it's supposed to.
What you mean? Oh.
That's a weapon of mass destruction.
A weapon of ass destruction.
Jesus.
Wait, are you talking about like coming off of your ass with poop
No,
on it
no,
going
no.
onto the roll, or?
No, I'm talking about on the road.
It's facing the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, oh my god, kill this man. Take him
Listen,
out.
y'all.
So-
when you put your toilet paper on the fucking roll holder, the toilet paper should hang down facing you, not the wall. You fucking degenerate animals. God, learn how to do a fucking simple task.
Alright, y'all might be getting a little elitist here. I don't really
Also,
pay that much attention to my
If you
toilet
don't buy
Whoa.
2-ply, fuck you.
Okay, see, my toilet paper is important to me. The kind I have is what matters. Now, I disagree with y'all on the way I hang it, because I don't hang it in any specific way. Half the time, I don't even hang it. Half the time, I'm too lazy and just put it on the counter next to the toilet.
Is this like a personal attack or something?
I don't know, I feel more personally attacked. Y'all agree on this, I don't.
Let's go fix
But-
this toilet paper roll.
So, just to try and rein us back in here
Sorry,
on
I got off on a tirade again.
the generational issues kind of stuff, we'll dive a little bit into the gun rights. I'm not going to try and go too deep into this because we touch this so fucking much it's retarded, and I understand it will literally never be enough. There's literally nothing I can say to stop the morons who are trying to convince the people who know nothing about guns. Because that's the majority of the problem. You have your assholes who are trying to get control, and they're just convincing people who know nothing about guns to fear them. That's the process. But what I want to say here is a lot of, and we've mentioned stuff like this before, a lot of the gun laws that originated, in the early 1900s, mid 1900s, were based on racism. And they continued all the way up to probably the 70s, 80s.
Bloomberg.
Those laws were sold that way. People would say, you know what? It's totally fine that that's the law because I know the cop ain't gonna throw me in jail, but he'll use that to arrest the black guy who's got the gun.
Yeah.
They understand that the officer's racist discretion is going to get the minorities and the oppressed people put in jail. But because they're white and hate black people, they're not in danger, and they will be totally fine, and the people that they hate won't be. So that was the idea behind a lot of these gun laws. But it's not different now. The only difference is like we were saying with Vietnam, the way they're selling it. They're not trying to convince a majority of this is the right thing to do because of facts. They're trying to convince everybody this is the right thing to do because of lies. That's the only way they can fucking get us on this at this point. And one of my least favorite to bring up at this point, because I think it was pretty recent, it was recent that I learned that this happened, and I believe it was recent that it was said, which is fucking crazy that it was recent.
Stop and frisk?
From Bloomberg.
Yeah, that was early 2000s, which is very recent in the course of...
Well, no. Stop and frisk was the law.
Yeah.
Bloomberg fucking literally said this, which would have gotten anyone on the right shit on for being the biggest racist piece of shit in the whole world.
If not lynched.
Yeah, this is not the fucking thing to say, because it is. It's just straight fucking racist. And it's just straight against people who are not in good positions.
And it's against the fucking Constitution.
Yeah, so, I don't care what fucking angle you're coming at it from. It's wrong, and it's fucked up. But he said, the majority, this isn't an exact quote, but this is the very acceptable gist of what he was saying. The majority of this crime is happening in minorities and poverty areas. Throw them up against a wall and frisk them. That's his fucking solution. Oh, so you come from an area, you live in an area where people are poor? Well, you have less right than the fucking rich people 30 miles that direction because we think you might be more of a criminal. You're a higher chance of being a criminal just because where you fucking live. Or because you're a minority. Black. Hispanic. You're not fucking the... what I don't even know what the average in America is at this point anymore.
60, roughly.
Okay. You're not the fucking average quote-unquote American, so, fuck you and your rights. The DNC is getting away with saying that shit. How? I don't like Trump. I have a lot of issues with Trump right now, and it fucking makes me mad that I have to use him as a reference, even. But how the fuck is Trump getting crucified for shit that he's saying that isn't even as bad as the straight racist fucking bullshit the DNC is using as their main fucking platform? It's retarded. How can you believe in either of these parties and not want to fucking blow your brains out?
I have a black brother. If any person ever tells me or uses the law to prove that my brother doesn't have as many rights as me, I will fucking kill you. And I will probably go farther than that. So.
Yeah, and
And these boys will back me up doing it.
Yeah.
Levi's my brother, so that means I have one as well.
I don't have a black brother, but I do have a black brother. And I will do the same thing. Ricky, I love you.
Yeah.
Even if you are kind of racist.
I will not let you hurt the people that mean more to me than... honestly, at this point, if you mean more to me than dirt, I will fucking defend you with my life.
Are you going to leave this politician? No.
I'll
die for you.
Yeah, exactly. We're a pretty easy system here.
Yeah.
It's like, check the box, yes or no. Are you fucking horrible for my entire life and going to cause my early death? Sweet, I will choose to cause my early death if it means helping you.
I think we can simplify this a bit. Do you think I should be able to do what I want? Yes, I love you. No, you're dead to me. Literally.
Careful, might make you dead to the world.
He didn't see it, but there's some pretty sweet finger guns he had going on there.
Oh yeah, dude, the finger guns are strong.
Whoa.
So I know we have been. This has been a very ranty podcast.
Kind of going off on tangents left and right.
The majority of this is just tangents.
Do you want to hit a final point?
There was structure at one point, and that was before we started recording.
Well, we're all passionate, and we all know a lot about what we're talking about. Sometimes podcasts just go. They just flow.
Yeah, we had
15
different things written down,
and
and we talked about 2 of them.
If we kept to a true structure, it wouldn't be as legitimate to us as people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I was reading a script,
Yeah.
and
We're trying to make
makes
this
me
as
the
natural
people that
as
I hate.
possible. Yeah.
But
It turns to script.
do we want to go? I mean, we've got some time. We're still under an hour
You
here.
wanna talk
Normally
Virginia?
we hit hour and 20 minutes before we hit.
Yeah,
You want to hit talk Virginia, and then we can end with the tactical portion?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've been covering Virginia a lot recently. Last week they
had their vote.
Yeah, they had
to
their vote.
to decide whether or not to pass their new assault weapons ban or not.
Yeah, and basically they decided to postpone it for a year, so that vote's not going to be counted until next year, which is hilarious. Which it basically means that they're just going to pass it in the dead of night when no one's thinking about it anymore, because they did just have bare minimum 30,000 people show up at their doorstep, armed to the fucking teeth, ready to murk some dudes over this law.
Mm-hmm.
But now they're going to pass in the middle of the night in a year from now, when only a very few are actually paying attention anymore.
Because they have nothing but time.
Great victory for gun owners. Awesome. The fight's not over. Keep it up. Because if you get complacent with, oh yeah, this is over, we made them back off, they're just going to hit it harder next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I disagree with the way that was worded a little bit.
Probably.
The fight didn't start. You communicated with the Crown.
Yeah.
It is their turn to either back the fuck down permanently. They need to not give you what you fucking want, but they need to abide by the rules that this country's governed by, the Constitution, which is a very fucking easy thing to, grasp.
Wow.
So the fight didn't start. What you did is you showed up and said, we are in support of the fight if necessary.
The legal fight was started.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the fight didn't start. Y'all need to understand that if they don't back down in a year, you've got to start drawing some lines in the sand. You got to start making decisions. You got to figure out where the fuck you stand.
Yeah.
Because if the same thing happens, well, I mean, it's exactly what happens every governmental cycle. You lose a little bit of rights, and you're like, fuck, okay, I'm not happy that I lost those rights, but it's not enough to start actually making a change, right? Well, over fucking 40 years, that adds up a lot. If you keep doing the same exact thing, you lose everything by the end.
Here's a little...
So, all you've got to do is understand you need a line in the sand, and that's the same one you need to be teaching your children so that it does not get impeded on over a course of time.
Here's the thing is... here's what would happen right now. Okay, so let's say tomorrow, Congress calls emergency session and votes 100% in favor to ban all semi-automatic weapons and all weapons that hold more than 5 rounds. Well, no, let's just humor me for a minute. Let's say that they get together and they ban it. Do you know what would happen? There would be an instantaneous revolt. I mean, instantaneous. Like, everyone would get in their fucking car, loaded for bear, whether that's fucking BB gun and a 22 or fucking your AR-15s.
Your 20 millimeter lady.
I need one so bad. They would all drive to fucking DC and they would level the city. Now, here's what the thing is, though, the government knows this. They're not idiots. People will say, oh man, these politicians are fucking stupid. They may see some stupid stuff, but they're not idiots. Don't let them fool you.
They're assholes.
They are very, very fucking smart. And they do all this. This is all theatrics when they say, we need to ban all these AR-15s. Because they know what's going to happen. They're going to put out a bill to try and ban AR-15s. And people are going to get in an uproar about it. And then at the last second, they're going to back down and say, okay, well, we'll just ban magazines. We'll ban the amount of ammo you can buy online. We'll ban what types of muzzle devices you can have. And they're slowly going to erode away at it. And it takes time. It takes a lot of time. Look at California. California used to be the fucking Wild West. And now, good luck fucking buying a gun because it takes fucking forever. And then the gun you do end up getting is so fucking neutered, it's almost combat ineffective. And people pride themselves on coming up with ways around this, like bullet buttons and their shark fin grips. They're like, oh, it's not a pistol grip. You're kidding yourselves. You're basically saying, oh boy, the prison guards only pissed in my food today. They didn't shit in it this time. The government knows that they can't take your rights away all at once, so they're going to chip away at it. They're going to give you a big distraction to get you angry. And so when they actually do ban something smaller, you're like, well, at least it wasn't the whole thing.
Bump stocks.
Oh, it's not even that. The majority of, which makes me fucking mad at y'all, and I'm sorry, but I am fucking mad at y'all being the majority of Americans. Like 99% of Americans. Fuck y'all for this. Y'all feel like you won. When they say we're gonna ban fucking semi-automatic or quote-unquote assault rifle, blah, 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 and then they don't, but they take something quote-unquote small that you maybe personally didn't care about, you feel like you fucking won. You didn't. You lost. You did exactly what you needed, or what they needed you to do. You got mad about this one thing, so they were able to gauge your response. They dialed it back to where they knew they could get away with it, and you did nothing.
You're like the Japanese in World War II, where you give up an island here or there, and you're just telling yourself, well, at least they haven't done anything to the mainland of Japan. And then all of a sudden, when you think that you're still on some stable sort of ground, you still think you have a fighting chance, and then boom, some fucking nukes go off and destroy 2 of your cities with just 2 bombs. It's getting to that point where we're backing up slowly. We're not moving forward. Don't kid yourself into think we're moving forward, because we're moving fucking backwards.
And
we're going to get to a point where we think that we're still fucking good. And the government's going to have gotten to a point where they're fucking good, and they know that they can't be beat, and they're going to make their final move. And when that happens, you're going to be like, how did this happen? I didn't see this coming. When the fucking map was drawn out for you.
Yeah, so if historically all we ever do is lose rights, the best time to stand up for your fucking self is right now.
Draw that line in the sand.
Because you have more than you will have tomorrow. You have, everyone's always, and it sucks because, preparation is important. And I understand that. And you want to be prepared. And everyone's just trying to buy time. Because they think eventually they'll reach that point where they have enough preparation because the time that they've been allotted to be okay. That's not how it's going to work. Right now, you are more ready than you will ever be. Because tomorrow, you will have less rights to be able to use for the things that you need done.
My line in the sand. Right now I am holding probably what is known as the scariest weapon to the left liberal media and the liberal side of the world. I have an AR-15 pistol. It has a short, scary barrel. It has a flash hider on it. It's got a fucking suppressor on it. I've got pop-up sights. I've got a flashlight. I have a laser-powered red dot, a collapsible brace, a foregrip, and a binary trigger that lets me simulate full auto fire. My line in the sand that I'm drawing is if one fucking piece of this gets banned, I am fucking fighting. No more compromise. I'm not giving one fucking more inch. That's my line in the sand.
And keep in mind, how long did you wait for that paperwork to come back after they spelled your name
14
wrong?
fucking months because one letter in my name was wrong. 14 fucking months. I am a soldier. I pay my taxes. I have been shot at, almost blown up. I have seen my friends get shot. I have done everything I can for this fucking country. And because one goddamn letter in my name was spelt wrong, they said that I can't own a metal tube that makes my hearing not go out as fast because also I've lost some fucking hearing for this supposedly for this goddamn country doing their orders. So I just kind of want to preserve the hearing I have left, so I have a suppressor. I don't have a suppressor so I can go and fucking assassinate people. I have a suppressor because I think that shooting is fun, and I want to keep some hearing while I'm doing it.
Yeah, because if you had that suppressor for the intention of assassinating people, you would have a very scary nickname at this point.
Yes, I would have a much better suppressor. I could build a better one.
But what I'm saying is, 14 months is an awesome example of what I just said prior to that. How are you going to use your legal rights and abilities if shit goes down in 3 weeks? If you are not ready right now, you will not be ready in 3 weeks. You will not be ready in 6 months. They will spell your fucking name wrong on paperwork, or they will push it back. Or the system will get bogged down. The system will get turned off. Holy shit, our whole registry went down because the government has a really bad track record with working electronic systems for tracking things. And if those electronic systems for tracking things are the only things that make it legal, and you want to have this thing legally, you're not gonna get it. System will fucking go down. Oh, well, system's been down for 2 fucking years now. They spelled your name wrong once. They fucking put the wrong number down, your driver's license number. 3 years later, you have no more than you started with, but you have less rights. Because I guarantee 3 years from now, the gun laws are going to look way worse than they do now.
I'll tell y'all what. The government bans binary triggers. I'm putting an auto sear in my rifle. If they ban folding braces or collapsible braces, I'm putting a stock on my rifle. Fuck y'all. I'm not giving one more fucking inch.
Is this going to be the podcast that gets us rated?
Well, no, the next podcast will be literally the boys get rated on audio.
Pass me a mag!
When your neighbor had someone break into the house and the police are coming to check to see if you've seen anything, but you've already posted the manifesto and started the live stream.
Guys, at the end of the day, we all just want to be left alone.
Just leave me the fuck alone. I am probably the most law-abiding citizen you will find. You can ask any of these guys. I was the dude that when growing up, if one of my friends was smoking a cigarette, I would smash it because I thought that was bad for them because it was against the law.
That used to make me mad.
I don't want to hurt anybody. I just want to be able to go out in the woods and shoot my gun at some pieces of metal and paper and be like, man, I did really good at shooting that piece of metal and piece of paper. But you know what? The government's like, oh boy, he's good at shooting that piece of metal and that piece of paper. We better stop him. Just let me be myself and have some fun and get good at something because I'm good at this and I'm not good at a lot of things.
Just let transvestite Muslim people protect their poppy fields with machine guns.
You're getting into some degeneracy there, pal. I fucking like it.
You know what I mean, though.
Yes.
So, if this man was a danger, would he have waited 14 months to put a metal tube that cost $10 fucking to make
A muffler.
on the end of his... Yeah, would he have waited 14 months to put a muffler on his fucking rifle? If he was a danger, he wouldn't have given a fuck.
Listen, if y'all didn't realize, silencers are really fucking easy to make. And if I was a criminal, I wouldn't go through the fucking arduous, painfully long process to do it legally. If I was a criminal, I would have fucking welded a piece of metal tube to a 1/2x28 thread pitch screw and put it on the end of my barrel.
So, what we're trying to get at in this is people will make fucked up things in the intent for fucked up purposes.
Go on YouTube.
If I want to fucking kill somebody, I am going to do it with... I will push a fridge over on someone if I fucking have to.
Go
I don't
on
give a
YouTube.
shit. If I am that determined, it doesn't matter what I have at my disposal. So why would you stop the people who might have to defend themselves from being able to?
Go on YouTube and look up the police bus where they find homemade weapons. They are finding machine guns, literal fucking machine guns that people have made in their garage with a drill press and a rivet gun. It's not that hard. We, as the law-abiding people, we have tried for so long to do good, and we're being punished for it. If we wanted to, it wouldn't be hard, but we're choosing to not do it because it is quote-unquote wrong. Like, the real criminals, they don't follow the laws. It doesn't matter what the law is. They're still going to break it because they're already planning on breaking it in one way. What's doing it in another way? They're like, man, I'm going to rob this bank. I sure wish this gun was legal for me to own. That would make it a lot. No, they're going to fucking go to some back alley in Atlanta or Chicago or Los Angeles, and they're going to buy a gun out of the trunk of some dude's car, and they're going to go and do their little robbery because they're already planning on breaking the law. It's not going to stop them because some fucking rich-ass dude in Washington wrote on a piece of paper that they're not allowed to do it.
And you can do it. I've seen so many crazy videos that scare the shit out of me. As how, not easy, it takes skill. It does take skill. It takes actually a lot of skill to make your own fully automatic firearms, like from scratch.
It actually doesn't take a lot of skill. You just have to have an understanding and some tools.
Okay, which creates
We
a
have-
skill.
There's some people, yeah, it's a skill, but...
if you were to try and fuck around with making illegal things, the first one you do probably ain't even gonna fucking work. But you will figure it out if you are determined, right? That's the thing that scares the fucking piss out of me. They have firearms illegally made in a fucking basement or garage that match the fucking firepower and almost the consistent reliability of professionally manufactured fully automatic firearms, and I can't have one to defend myself. So, people are going to do it anyway. People are going to do it for bad reasons, and now I am outgunned.
England. This just happened recently, or at least I saw the article today or yesterday. It might have been last night. Today or last night. They just busted an illegal gunsmithing operation in England, where all guns are supposed to be illegal. Like, if you want a gun, you can only get a .22. And if it's a handgun, it has to have a metal bar sticking out at least 18 inches so that it isn't concealable. I mean, it is hard as fuck to get a gun over there. You can only get shotguns, like, in certain circumstances. Like, it is not easy over there. They just busted a illegal handgun making operation in England. They didn't stop everyone from getting guns. They found it after the fact that thousands of these things were made. They were making replicas. I forget what model Browning, but it was a Browning chambered in .32 ACP. And they were making the guns, the bullets, everything. And I mean, these guns were indistinguishable from actual Brownings. Like, except for the roll marks on them, like, you couldn't tell the difference. They looked fucking fantastic. And this is in a country that supposedly has the strictest gun control laws. Like, well, the point is here is criminals will fucking find a way. Nothing you can do, no paper you sign, no fucking officer you put on the task force will prevent it from happening. It will happen. You can't stop this.
Do you feel safe yet, England? Do you feel fucking safe?
Does anyone feel fucking safe?
No, because you will never feel safe. Because you know what the big problem now is? You're scared of that 3-inch pocket knife someone's carrying.
Safe is an illusion. Safe is the feeling of being safe is the absence of a clear and present danger. There's no such thing as safe. There's just an absence of danger, because danger is everywhere. It's not everywhere. Danger is all around, but it's just not with you at the very moment, or you don't know it's there at the moment.
Is there freedom with surveillance? Is there freedom without fear?
No. I'm not free to be the person that I want to be without fear of something. Fuck. It pains me that the majority of Americans nowadays are afraid of retarded, petty bullshit.
Terrorist attacks.
No, not even that. That's like something to genuinely be afraid of until you own a weapon, you're trained on it, and you feel confident in saving your life and others in that scenario.
Hey, Ryan,
holy shit,
Levi.
we can fix that problem.
Do you guys want to start a business? I had an idea. It was basically we buy these blank hoodies from a company, and people tell us what they want printed on the back, and then we just print the design on the back. Do you guys want to start that up real quick? Well, too fucking bad. You can't, because if you do, you're gonna get put in jail for not having a business license. Is that free? Is that free? You feel free?
I would definitely not agree with the fact that we are the freest nation in the world.
Do you feel free?
Free men don't ask permission.
But
We gotta wrap this up. This is gonna go down a fucking tangent. It's gonna last years.
well, it has lasted years.
What is time?
What we're getting at
Probably,
here
probably an infringement.
is you will never feel safe enough. They're arresting people for carrying screwdrivers. They're confiscating screwdrivers.
If you don't
From
have a
people,
job
not-
as an electrician or a blacksmith or a fucking lock repairman, you can get arrested in England for carrying a fucking screwdriver.
Now, and I understand, you can make a screwdriver into a very deadly weapon.
Oh, I could fuck someone up in a heartbeat with a screwdriver.
I could take a fucking grinder and make it a fucking shiv.
You don't
In
even
like
need a grinder.
well, yeah, but it'd be easy.
Well,
But I
you
could
can
make
use
it into a
phones
shiv in like 6 fucking seconds, right? They're not arresting people for having shivs. They're arresting people for having not grinded screwdrivers. It's literally the tool they bought from the store. They didn't change it. They didn't do anything. They just had it on their person. So what I'm saying is, you will never be safe enough. You will never feel safe enough. And you, as people who don't give a shit about, well, not y'all, hopefully, if anyone's listening to this, y'all need to understand just the fact that if you cannot provide your own security for yourself, you will legislate it. And you will deprive people of rights to likes no one has ever seen. And this place will make England look like a fucking utopia if we carry down this path.
In the infamous words of the Lord and Savior, Pat McNamara, you are the person in charge of your own executive protection detail. That's all.
Basic boob stuff.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
What do you think? Tactical portion real fast?
Yeah, but just get ready for that meme. We got an awesome meme coming out.
That's
We just
good.
gotta
Yeah,
we just
baller.
gotta plan it. It's gonna be like a 30-minute long video on accident.
I have an
Probably.
idea for that too, by the way. So
Okay,
we'll
tell
talk
you.
later.
Yeah. Quick tactical thing, and we'll wrap this all up.
So, this is something I don't think gets discussed nearly enough. And when it does get brought up, people immediately go on the defensive. And it comes back to people not wanting to admit they're wrong about something, I believe. So, for those of you that don't know, I have spent some time working at a gun range. And a vast majority, I would say, I'm no mathematician, but I would say about 85 to 90% of people that carry guns, at least in my observation at my range that I worked at, people I've noticed that carry guns and have told me they carry guns regularly are absolutely in no way, shape, or form proficient in their guns. And this doesn't necessarily have anything to do with fighting tyranny or oppression. This is just something that I think everyone who carries a gun, whether it's to fight tyranny or oppression or just to save their own life if they get mugged or have an attempted mugging, should know. You're not good at shooting. And I say that meaning everyone. You're not good at shooting. I'm not good at shooting. You're not good at shooting. You're not good at shooting. And the listeners are not good at shooting. No one is ever good at shooting because shooting is a perishable skill. It is something that has to be practiced. Now, practice does not mean you go to the range once a month, twice a month, or even once a week and just shoot the same target at 5 yards over and over again. Because I have seen individuals who do exactly that. They come to the range, it's just a routine for them. They show up, they buy $40 and $50 worth of ammo, they go out on the line, they put their target up at 5 yards, and they load their gun and they shoot for 30, 40 minutes, an hour. And then they bring their target back, and their shot group at 5 yards looks like they were shooting slugs out of a shotgun at 30 yards. Or buckshot out of a shotgun at 30 yards. I mean, it is all over the place. Some of the shots aren't even on the silhouette. And I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm not trying to bash these people and be like, man, you guys suck at shooting. Well, in a way I am. But what I'm trying to say is, just because you do something over and over again doesn't mean you're good at it. The definition of practice and training is shoot. You go out, you shoot your target, you shoot 2 or 3 mags through it. Not clips. If you say clips, you're fucking retarded. You shoot 2 or 3 mags through it, unless you have an ammo grant. I'm digressing.
In block.
You shoot a couple of mags through your gun, and you'd be like, man, these holes aren't close to each other. To be good, I need to have these holes close to each other. So, what I do when I go out and shoot, almost every time I shoot, I try to shoot at least 30 to 50 rounds a day. Doesn't sound like a lot, but at the end of the month, that's what's 50 times 30. It's a big number. I'm not doing the math. I'm drunk. But I shoot my ammo, and I'm like, okay. I put up a camera. I put up my cell phone camera, and I film myself shooting. And I look at my form, I say, oh man, my elbows weren't locked out right, or I wasn't leaning enough forward, or I was leaning too far forward, or I wasn't focusing on the sight good enough. I was jerking the trigger too hard. I try to improve on things. And one big advantage is those, you'll see these at different ranges, the shooting coach targets, where it's a circular bullseye shaped target, and depending on where your shots land, there's little segments and it says too much trigger squeeze, too hard of a trigger squeeze, anticipating recoil, too much finger on trigger, too little finger on trigger. Targets like that are useful because it helps train you in what you're doing wrong. And a big part of that is admitting I'm doing something wrong. I see people that go out all the time and they practice and they're not getting any better. They shoot the exact same shot group every week and it looks like a fucking buckshot blast from a shotgun. Film yourself or have a buddy watch you and do some research. Take some classes. Take a tactical response class. Take a warrior poet class. Go to Thunder Ranch or a Vickers class if you can afford it. Take some sort of training. Shit. Even if you can't afford it and you can barely afford to shoot ammo every month, at the very least, go on YouTube at the public library where it's free and watch Lucas Botkin give some on T-Rex Arms channel. Watch some sort of an instruction and see, okay, these are some things that these guys are doing and they shoot really well. I'm going to try them. Do something.
Then dry practice.
Ask a buddy who shoots really accurate. Ask him how he does it. Ask him to coach you. Do something. Get better. Because if on your best day, when you're in a good mood, your belly's full, you're warm, and you're just completely relaxed and in your zen moment, and you can't hit the target accurately, reliably, 100% of the time, how well do you think you're going to shoot at the worst possible moment of your life? When your adrenaline is pumping, you're possibly injured, you're in an unfamiliar environment, you feel scared and unsafe, and you all of a sudden you have to pull your gun and shoot. And not only do you have to shoot fast and accurately. a carry situation, self-defense situation is over in 3 to 5 seconds, and it takes place in 3 to 5 feet. If you can't reliably draw your gun, present a line, get a proper sight picture, a proper grip, and pull the trigger until the target is down on your best day, what the hell makes you think you'll be doing it on your worst day? When your holster is sagging because you're wearing a nylon holster with a shitty belt buckle clip on some fucking sweatpants from Walmart and it's just dangling weird, or when your gun's just haphazardly stuffed in your pocket, get a timer. Have someone hit the start button and time you, and see how fast it takes you to fish that gun out of your pocket, or how fast it takes you to unbuckle that gun strap and pull your gun out of your shitty holster. See how fast it takes you to do that and rack the chamber because you don't carry with a round in the chamber. See how fast it takes you to do all that when you've got your safety on and you forget to flick it off because you're in a hurry. Train as if your fucking life depends on it, because it can. But more importantly, if you can't shoot accurately in a situation like this, not only could your life be ended, but the worst possible outcome would be you shooting someone innocent because you decided that you were going to lie to yourself and say, I'm good enough, and you accidentally hit a pregnant woman who's 30 feet away, or you shoot a kid, or you shoot some kid's dad in front of them, or their mom, or their grandmother, or their best fucking friend. You shoot the wrong fucking person because you weren't well trained enough. You were lying to yourself at the range. If you can't put all of your shots in a 3-inch group at 5 yards, you shouldn't be carrying a gun. Not only should you be able to do that, you should be able to do that rapidly. Train like your life depends on it, but also train like someone else's life depends on it. Because if you don't, it is not only ignorant and arrogant, it is selfish.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I recently started working in a range as well, and I would have to say the amount of people who are ridiculously, like, retardedly overconfident.
Almost comically.
Yeah, I'm not even trying to say I'm anything. Like, I'm not trying to say I'm good. There's 2 people in the room right now, and there are also 2 people in the room right now. They're better at shooting than me. I am not trying to fucking make me look good in this. The majority of people are woefully underskilled, even though they shoot more often than I do. To an extent that it's ridiculous. Everyone goes there with confidence, and they go and they shoot, and like, they think they know what's going on, and I've had people come up. I haven't been working at this place long, and I have experienced issues that I never thought I would experience within the gun community. It's like retarded the issues that I've already had to face because of it. It's like people loading, total self-confidence, playing it off, oh yeah, I shot guns before, I know what I'm doing, don't worry about me, I know what's up. Loading bullets into magazines backwards. Stop lying to yourself.
There's no shame in asking help.
We all have to learn from somewhere.
None of us 3 are experts. We're proficient. I feel confident that when I carry a gun every day, that if I ever had to use it, I could shoot accurately up to 25 yards and hit a human silhouette. I feel confident in that. Would I ever have to shoot that far? Probably not, but you never know. But the point is, as I train, not with the thought that my life's at stake, but also with the thought that someone else's life is at stake. I'm going to go more into this on a post on my page. If you didn't hear at the beginning, it's Boogaloo Mike on Instagram. That's Boogaloo_Mike. I'm the page with the crazy looking dude and the gas mask and the hoodie holding some guns up. I'm gonna be putting a post out later. It's gonna take me some time to work on it because I want to get everything down right. But not only on training, but reliable guns, because that's like Ryan was saying, we see issues all the time where not only are people undertrained, they have guns that malfunction. Now I understand everyone comes from a different place financially. You might not be in a position where you can afford $500 to drop on a Glock. Maybe that Taurus G2C is the only gun you can afford. And I've always said is any gun in a self-defense situation is better than no gun. But at least learn If you have a gun that has a tendency to malfunction, which a Taurus G2C does, if you don't think it does, it does. Learn how to at least be proficient in clearing malfunctions and getting that gun back in the fight. Train. I can harp on this for hours. I'm going to cut myself off now with just this last word, train.
So I'm going to let Levi take this one because I feel like we've kind of left him out of the conversation for a minute. But this goes into the same topic that Boogaloo Mike was talking about when it comes to being accurate in a self-defense situation and hitting not just the target, but the right target and not hitting the wrong person.
All right, so basically, you don't just have to save your life. You have to live with yourself. I'm going to wrap this whole conversation up with this statement. If you shoot only to save a life and never to take a life, you will have no regrets.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But I think this is
We've
It's
dragged
not-
this rant out a little
Yeah.
too long.
that was like a 30-minute rant.
This is
I'm
one of our
impressed.
longest
I know.
podcasts, I think.
Well, we've had really long ones, but this is the longest unstructured one where it was just
It kind of just flowed naturally.
Yeah, it did.
yeah we just kept switching from topic to topic.
But
Always fun.
yeah, guys, this is the Refounding Fathers, Levi and Ryan, and Boogaloo Mike, aka Mike over here.
Hell yeah.
It's been fun. We've covered a lot of ranty topics, but remember, push the fight, pray for freedom.
Refounding Fathers, signing off.
Yeehaw!